guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Gaynor.
Office bloke Aidan.
I'm Sophie.
And today we're doing the mass exodus, why Houston, Texas is losing residents.
It's already lost you and Dad and me.
Yeah, it's already lost 4 of us. But I thought it was one of the most popular areas to move to, so I'm wondering why.
I actually thought it was one of the most biggest growing areas in
I thought people were moving to Texas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
When we watch videos, it seems as though Texas is one of the places that everyone's.
I'm sure we saw a video that said why that telling us that Houston's the population is growing quite big.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. So it'd be interesting to see.
So we're quite intrigued about this video now, aren't we?
Why are Houstonians fleeing Houston like somebody just outlawed the word y'all within the city limits? Texans can put up with a lot, but getting rid of y'all might push some of them over the edge. So why are people leaving? It's a good question. Houston has almost always gained in population, like every single year. 2021 and 2022 is one of the only times in their history they've seen back-to-back drops in population. Minus 0.7% in 2021 and minus 1.1% in 2022. That doesn't sound like a big number, but it is. It's kind of shown a trend. In the last 2 census, the city has gained less than 10%, which has only happened 3 times since 1850, with most decades seeing growth around 30% and up. Now, when you get down and look at the numbers, you can see that people are still moving in from other states at about the normal rate. It's just the longtime residents are leaving Houston faster than ever before. Most of the Houstonians leaving the city moved to other Texas metro areas: Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, and Beaumont. After that, they're moving out of state to Denver, Atlanta, and Los Angeles. So why is this happening? Why are more and more Houstonians packing up and moving on? And that's what we're looking at today, the reasons people leaving Houston gave in a survey as to why they wanted a new place to call home. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, the weather. Yeah, a lot of people don't like the weather in Houston, and I've been there quite a few times, and I gotta agree with them. The weather sucks in Houston, especially in the summer. Houston is known for its hot, humid weather, which can be uncomfortable and even dangerous during the summer months. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the average temperature in Houston in July is 94.5 degrees Fahrenheit, with a whole bunch of humidity.
Do you remember living there?
No, not really. It's not like 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it does get really hot.
I want to know what 94 is Fahrenheit is.
Oh,
degree.
It's
Celsius.
It's about.
Would it be like mid-30s or something?
Oh, it's about 32.
34.5.
Right. So we used to get that in Abu Dhabi.
Wow.
It got hotter than that in Abu Dhabi.
I remember taking you and Declan to the park, and it just wasn't enjoyable at all. It was like they did where we lived in the woodlands. It was quite a lot of trees to kind of block the sun, but it was just the humidity killed you.
Really?
Literally, the sweat would be dripping down my temples all the time. I'm sweaty anyway.
If you've never been to Houston and you're just imagining Houston as like West Texas, it's not. West Texas is like a desert. Houston is like a swamp. If you're one of those people like myself that likes a little cool weather, you're not going to get much of it in Houston. The winter does get kind of nice and a little bit cold now and then, but the summers are brutal along with the mosquitoes that go with them. It's just kind of harsh. And on top of that, you got the extreme weather events. Hurricanes, flooding. Houston's had their fair share of them. They've also seen a few tornadoes and some serious thunderstorms. The flooding seems to happen every year. Then, I don't know, every 10 years or so, a major hurricane blows through that place and just upsets the whole city. But there is one amazing thing about Houstonians when that happens. I've never been there for one, but the news is just filled with people helping each other out. They get through it together. So you gotta like that. But yeah, a lot of people, they just can't take the weather and they bail on Houston. Number 9, the traffic. The traffic in Houston is getting worse every single year. Maybe the fact that they're losing some people might change that, but they've been growing at such a good pace for so long that the infrastructure's really not been able to keep up. It's almost like the city planners are watching how the city's growing and think, you know what? We need a new 4-lane interstate right here, and we'll, have it do this and this and this. And then when they finish it 8 years later, they're all, we should have made that 8 lanes each direction. I've been stuck in Houston traffic about 3 or 4 times. It's not as bad as Los Angeles or, let's say, the Bay Area, San Francisco, but it's pretty close.
Dan hated driving there.
Number 8.
I hate driving in traffic. Like, it does my absolute nutting. There's nothing worse. Nothing probably gets me more angrier.
Yeah.
Or maybe wind, but...
The thing is over there, like here, we can drive from here to London and be in traffic the whole way.
Yeah.
At least over there, you get like a, heavy traffic, but then it breaks up a bit and
you only get heavy traffic in the cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Whereas over here, because it's not far from each city, it's just constant traffic
all the time. Yeah, I've seen a few people
now.
make comments saying like, oh, the traffic can't be as bad as here. Well, it is.
It is, 100%.
Because it's a lot smaller.
Yeah, because it's more.
And it's constant traffic, whereas you get breaks.
Think about how many people we have compared to the size of our country.
Yeah. That's the thing, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I just don't drive anywhere. Just stay in.
Social issues. Now, some things kept popping up, and I thought each one was important, but they weren't important enough to have their own spot on this list, so I kind of clumped them all together. Social issues. A lot of people complain that they feel socially isolated. Despite its size, Houston can be a difficult place to meet new people and build a social network. Some residents feel isolated and disconnected from the community. There are many complaints on how it's really hard to date in Houston, and there's a few reasons for that. One of them is there's more women than men. Now, if you're a person looking for a woman to bump uglies with, this is a good thing. You have more choices than you might other places. Like in Alaska, where it's like 1 woman to every 5 guys.
So, you ever thinking about going back to Houston? Or?
What, you want me to take you with me?
Yeah, I'll come.
Houston's not that bad, but it's enough to where it's noticeable. I've seen different stats for it, but it's usually something like, if you take 100 people in Houston, there's 55 women for every 45 men. Some of the problems with this is if you're a woman and you're looking for a man, your options are limited. Years ago, I did a video and brought this up, and I remember reading this article, and this one woman in there said, don't move to Houston if you're married, because some woman will try and steal your man. Put in parentheses, men are in short supply in Houston. So that could be a problem. You also have diversity. Houston is a very diverse city, but some residents may not appreciate the cultural differences or feel uncomfortable in multicultural environments. Now, whenever you bring up diversity on any kind of video and you're talking about social things, and you'll have a bunch of comments in the comment section about diversity is not a good thing. Just enjoy those and get a good chuckle out of it. They always try and include fake stats. Number 7, pollution. Houston has high levels of air pollution due to its large size and petrochemical facilities that basically surround the entire city. According to the American Lung Association, Houston ranks as the 12th most polluted city in the United States for year-round particle pollution. Basically, air quality sucks here. On top of that, when you have bad air quality, that usually leads into you got bad water quality. Now, their water is not dangerous, but I've read a bunch of things where it tastes bad. You're moving from out of the area, you'll move to Houston, you'll taste the water, and you'll be buying bottled water from that point on. Side note, Los Angeles has the same problem. I never knew how nice...
Can you drink from the tap in America?
Yeah, but it doesn't taste right.
Does it not?
No, so it's easy to just have... Well, most of, like we've got at home, a fridge with the water dispenser on it.
Yeah.
Is it not the same as over here, like the taste of it?
No, the tap water over here is quite nice.
Tap water is different everywhere.
Yeah, but in the States, especially Texas, it tastes funny. So we just drank bottled water.
Water out of a tap tasted until I left Los Angeles. But believe it or not, the air pollution and water quality really bothers a lot of people. Bad enough when it's hot, humid, and then you just suck it in some exhaust. Number 6, the crime. Houston's got some crime. Actually, it is the worst when it comes to crime of all the Texas metro areas. They've got both property crime and violent crime. They say their property crime is 85% higher than the national average, which sucks, but where they're really putting the extra effort in is the violent crime rate. That's about 224% above the national average. That's the 2022 numbers. In 2020, they were only 211% above the national average. So if you're worried about crime, yeah, you could look at those numbers and probably want to leave Houston. Every time I've been to Houston, as I've driven around, I thought, wow, I bet there's a lot of crime going on around here. Why doesn't that car have any tires? I actually saw a guy stealing the chain link fence. It's not like he worked for some company. This was strictly off the books, and he was taking that chain link fence home, I believe. Because most workers don't use a shopping cart to transport parts of a fence. Number 5, limited public transportation. Yeah, Houston's public transportation system sort of sucks. It's definitely not as extensive or reliable as some of the other cities in the United States. Houston's not even in the top 25. And on top of that, it's ranked really low when it comes to walkability.
Hang on, there's no way that's like a public bus.
Why?
Look at it. That looks like a coach that you get on.
When I went to Edinburgh, the buses, because we've got buses just to and from, they look like that. They were actual coaches.
Oh, no, yeah, but because you're going to Edinburgh. You're not staying within the inner city.
No,
I
stayed in Edinburgh and we just caught the bus because we stayed
I thought you
a bit
meant you
out
like
the
gone
city.
from here to Edinburgh on the bus.
No, we literally, it was about, a 10-minute journey and we just got the bus and they were like proper coaches.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas obviously like in England, like you're scared to get on the bus.
Yeah, double-decker buses.
Yeah, it's like double-decker. The first half of it's standing, then there's like back seats, then you go upstairs and there's all seats, but
it's all that like horrible
like bench type seats and like weird patterns on it and stuff.
Houston is a sprawling city that's not really pedestrian friendly, which can make it challenging to get around without a car. So the public transportation sucks and it's too big to walk around. Who's in charge of this city? Number 4, limited job opportunities. Houston has jobs. It's not like they're really hurting for jobs. They just don't have a wide variety of jobs. They have a strong economy, and it's home to many major companies in industries such as oil and gas, healthcare, and technology. Outside those industries, it could be a little dicey and a little limited. So if you work in IT, great, you can probably get a job. Healthcare? Probably. Oil and gas? Sure. R-rated magician at a retirement home? Maybe not. Now, whenever I talk about this subject right here, there's a few cities in the United States that are like this. Actually, there's a few states that are like this. They're heavy in a couple different industries, but not a bunch of different industries. Like California, you could find anything. Just about any industry is well represented in California. It's also in Dallas. Dallas is pretty good. Atlanta has a strong market in different industries. But Houston's just a city that has a lot of jobs in just a few different industries. That's why a lot of people listed career change as the reason they left Houston. Probably changed careers and didn't find a new one there.
Didn't think about that.
Number 3, high cost of living. This is something people put down a lot. It's at the number 3 spot. The statistical reality is Houston's not that bad when you compare it to other major cities in the United States.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought people leave Houston because it's too expensive.
It depends. It depends. It was a lot cheaper to live there than it was in New Jersey. The houses.
Was it?
Yeah, the houses were a lot cheaper.
Oh.
Especially when it says a lot of them are moving to like Los Angeles. It's not going to be cheaper in Los Angeles, is it?
Exactly.
No. But yeah, I think you would leave if your job wasn't that great and you wasn't getting that a lot of money. You'd maybe move to a different state that's cheaper. But the houses like this,
they'd be worth a little bit of money.
Yeah, they're million dollar homes. So you won't be moving from one of that unless you.
That's very nice, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
States. But I have a theory on this one that I have no proof of. I'm just assuming. Houston is down there in South Texas near Louisiana, so it's Southeast Texas. Louisiana's dirt cheap, and after Louisiana you have Mississippi, which is, I don't know, what's lower than dirt cheap. And a lot of the people that do end up in Houston, let's say for a handful of years for work or whatever, come from Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. Matter of fact, after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, a lot of people from the New Orleans area and really all of Louisiana moved to Houston. But it's not just after a hurricane that people start heading to Houston. Houston has been in the top 10 list for people relocating from Louisiana since 1996. I'm sure before then, but that's how far back the list goes. Houston's the biggest metro area outside Louisiana, so it only makes sense. It's a no-brainer. But yeah, that's my theory. People that are coming from Louisiana and parts of the Deep South, they get to Houston, and they get a little sticker shock. Number 2, it's poorly planned. Most cities have a rhythm to them. They're planned out properly, you know what to expect. You're in a residential area, you expect homes, maybe a condo, maybe an apartment building. You go to an area where there's a bunch of apartment buildings, you'll find a bunch of apartment buildings, maybe a house or two. Drive down a main strip, and you have a mini mall, maybe an office building. Houston's got their own agenda. This right here is a perfect example. You have these nice duplexes or whatever they are, like condos, and directly across the street, they just built like a 25-story office building. That's a residential street. Back in 2018, I did a video about Houston, and I found out this is one of the biggest complaints people from Houston and people moving to Houston, pretty much everybody, complained about. But back to that giant building, that residential neighborhood, even if half of it or all of it's apartments and not just an office building, it's too big for that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Another complaint people have about Houston is lack of green spaces. They don't have a lot of parks, and they don't have any, like wooded areas with hiking trails. They just don't go into that. If they did, and knowing how they planned out their city, you might be on a 5-mile hike into the woods and find a Starbucks all by itself. Round the bend, and you might find the last pager dealership in the country. I miss pagers. It was so much harder to get a hold of me back then. I've been paging you for like 3 days.
See, we were quite fortunate because we lived in the woodlands, so it was a master plan community, and everything you needed was in there. There was schools, there was hospitals, there was a shopping mall, there was a river taxi.
Was there hiking trails?
There was hiking trails.
Okay, that's all we need.
We just lived in one little bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surrounded
it's not a
by
bad
the
thing,
woods.
though. No, I'd like that.
What do you reckon number one's going to be?
Money.
I'm thinking,
Pay?
employment, cost of like.
We've had that.
We've
had unemployment.
No, not employment. I mean, what you actually get paid.
Or like schools or something like education, maybe.
I think the education's pretty good there.
I don't know, to be honest.
I didn't get the page. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, but that's one of the biggest complaints people have is the city's confusing. All right, before we get to number one, if you're looking to move to Houston or any place in the United States, there's a link for a website called Home and Money. They have all kinds of tools for people looking to buy a new home, get you in touch with a real estate agent, all that good stuff. All right, on to number one. And number one, political polarization. Politics has become very toxic here in the United States in the last handful of years. It's a real problem in Texas. This was the number one complaint people had about Houston in that survey. People don't worry about crime as much as they worry about having to listen to someone and their political views. I think part of what plays into people responding like this is the friction that they have between Texans and Californians moving to Texas. Houston doesn't get nearly as many Californians as Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio does, but they get enough. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out.
To be honest, I don't think many of them would actually stop me from wanting to go to Houston.
No, I mean it's a lovely place.
Yeah, that's what I would
imagine. We lived there for 2 years, and we had a lovely house, lovely life there. Just blooming hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the two main things were like how hot it would get, and imagine being stuck in traffic in the hot. Oh, yeah. Jesus.
But the thing is, if you lived in the woodlands and you worked in the woodlands,
you don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to get stuck in traffic.
Yeah, but then you just live in a boring life, just staying where you live, going to work, going home. What if you're trying to go into the city?
Well, on a weekend you could maybe, but...
But it was so big, it wasn't small, it was so big that you would never really need to leave. I mean, you did, obviously, we used to go out all the time.
Yeah.
But we very rarely went downtown Houston.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We stayed within the woodlands and kind of Conroe and just outside that area, which, there's loads and loads of stuff to do, so it's pretty good.
I would 100%. I reckon if I was to move back to America, Texas would probably be number 3 or maybe 2 or 3 of where I'd want to go.
Where would number 1 and 2 be?
Number 1. Oh, I don't know now. Because I used to say
New York?
Florida. I'm probably not New York now.
No?
Nah.
So expensive.
I wouldn't go to New York.
I don't know how anyone affords it.
No, it's so expensive, and you would never be able to afford a decent set. You would be living in like a
studio.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it.
No.
Yeah, I would always say Florida, but then I don't like the snakes and that.
Yeah.
And the alligators.
I was going to say that. I think of alligators when I think of Florida.
Yeah. And it gets a bad rap as well.
It does, doesn't it? A lot.
I didn't realise until we started watching music.
Oh no, I always saw
Poor
people
Florida.
I always every time I go on Instagram, it's like Florida man has done something stupid.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button for us, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.
Bye.